Hello. This is just a little PSA for F-Zero GX since it's now out on NSO for the Switch 2. Meaning it's probably a lot more popular right now. We got a lot more people coming to play the game. And I know there are some guides on F-Zero GX out there already, but I just wanted to give my 2 cents on it. If you're playing the game for the first time, you're gonna come up against a couple of roadblocks. So, seriously, the first thing you need to do, you need to go into the options, calibrate your control stick. This is required, seriously. This is where you're gonna run into the most issues. Now, I'm using Dolphin on a real Nintendo GameCube controller. I know NSO is not ideal for playing F-Zero GX. If you need a budget-friendlier option, I suggest Dolphin. You can also pick up a Wii and homebrew it for pretty cheap, and then play GX that way. I'm not actually going to calibrate my controller because I already have it well calibrated. I play frequently on Dolphin, but seriously, just go into calibration, do this. Don't rotate it in a full circle, kind of go point by point, then rotate in a circle. I find that works pretty well. Make sure your dead zone is as small as possible while still registering a 0 when your stick is neutral, because this game is really about how much granular stick movement can you use. So we're gonna go into a course real quick, like Mid-City Twist Road. Very simple. I'm just gonna show you a random machine. Like, okay, Mad Wolf, BBC. Like, note the C grip. No, I'm intentionally picking a machine with very poor traction because I'm going to show you. This is what I see a lot of people doing. And I don't have an input display, but I'm going to slam the stick when I move, like you would in Mario Kart. See, I'm breaking grip, and I want to go toward the wall. It's very hard to control. In fact, the only reason I'm not hitting a wall yet is because I'm anticipating the loss of grip. But you see, it's very easy to just slam the stick and hit the walls. So this is why I say calibrate the control stick, because this is what happens when I very gradually move my stick. You're going to see me, I'm actually handling it pretty well. It's not losing all that much traction. In fact, I can go for a full turn and it maintains a grip. But it's all about how much force you move the stick with. You really need to be granular when you play this game. Be gentle with the stick. So this is like my number 1 tip for basic GX gameplay. Be gentle with that stick. Now obviously, this is the other thing you're gonna want to learn. Boost! You have a boost button. You must use it or you're gonna fall behind. Like seriously. I'm gonna go into novice difficulty with a average power machine. Again, it's gonna be the first track of the game. And we're gonna, in fact, let's go for like a low power machine. I'm gonna play at 50%. So, this is the other thing. If you want more of an advantage, for shorter tracks, 60 to 70% is good. For longer tracks, about 80 to 100% is better. But for the purposes of demonstrating how you can beat the game, I'm going to be playing at 50% because a lot of people will instinctually default to that. So as your machine setting goes down, you get better turn radius, but also, oh, and I have the music off, which I guess is a good thing for the purpose of recording. So obviously you want to hit the dash plates, and you look, we're at 50% on novice. We're already in second place just because we drove cleanly, we stuck to the inside lines, we hit both dash plates. Probably not going to get first. Oh, we're already in first lap, so there you go. It's not that hard. just follow a good racing line and spam the boost button after it's lap 2. You can win most of the games, Grand Prix, by spamming the boost button and having a good racing line. Now, obviously more complex tracks come into play, like serial gaps, but in general, you just want to have good centers. Oh, there you go, the third lap music. So, yeah. I cannot stress this enough. It's all about spamming that boost button. And this is an underpowered vehicle. It's so, now obviously we were on novice difficulty, but so to illustrate just how doable this game is, I'm also going to do this on Master now. And I'm also just not going to use Advanced Check. I think I was using MT in that last run. For that, I apologize. I really shouldn't have been. I'm going to go again with an underpowered machine. So, just to reiterate, shorter course. We're going to go about 60-70%. This is going to give us a higher top speed and better traction at the loss of turning radius and acceleration. Apologize for the lag there. I am on Dolphin with an unpacked ISO, so. Also, the quick turn technique is pretty simple. You hold down both the shoulder buttons and then hold the inner shoulder button as you're turning, and that gives you less speed loss when you turn. It's a physics thing. It also gives you a tighter turn, so it's very excellent for when you're at extremely high speed and you need to turn on a dime. Just do that. Oh, there we go. I emptied. Sorry about that. I'm going to try to not empty at all. I'm just going to spam the boost button with the gas pump down. That is a simple advanced tech, by the way. You just let go of the A button so that you slow down less when you're above certain speed threshold. You're going to see me decelerate a ton simply because I'm not doing it. But as you can see, I'm still ahead. This is master difficulty. This is the hardest difficulty in the game. But simply by spamming the boost button and following the clean racing line, not really making mistakes, you still win. That's really all there is to it. There are some tracks that you cannot win first place on reliably with this strategy, namely Sand Ocean in Ruby Cup. This next track is also one you're going to have to accept like a third place on, because it's very difficult. This is a short course, but we're going to do 100% because we're going to need the traction, but also there are so many dash plates that we really benefit from the extra max speed. It doesn't matter how long it takes to get to the first dash plate. Once we start boosting, we're boosting. Another thing you'll want to work in to beat master difficulty is side attacks. And I'm not going to do them here because the clean racing line works a little more. Like, it matters more here than in other tracks, but you can get an extra life by getting 5 kills. Yeah, that's the difficulty of this track. That last turn, you can lose the traction to the track and fly off. So there is some RNG, there is some jank, but overall, you want to calibrate that stick, you want to be gentle with it, and you want to follow clean racing lines. So hopefully we'll be able to recover from that with another try. We are getting bumped into a lot. Not much we can do about that, unfortunately. So let's stick to the right here. Yeah, that's much better. That dash plate on the left is a bit of a red herring. It causes you to fly off a lot of the time. So on the second lap, you can actually skip the energy refill and get more dash plates. And then we use the rest of our boosts while there are no dash plates. Head for this. And Now we can take the left, although it still would have been faster to take the right path, but just for safety's sake, let's do that. Stick to the right, we got better gravity to the road for some reason there. And there you go, again. It wasn't that hard, even though Fat Shark was present. He still beat Master Difficulty with an underpowered car on one of the harder tracks in the game. So this is kind of what I want to illustrate. The idea that this game is difficult. It demands something of you. But it's also, paradoxically, not that hard once you do understand it. And I guess for some it can take longer for that to click. But you really, it just takes a correct mindset. Don't come into this game thinking, oh, this is the hardest Nintendo game. This is the Dark Souls of racing games. It's really not. I think there are harder, more broken racing games out there. This ain't it. I would contend that 100%ing Mario Kart Wii is harder than beating the Grand Prix in F-Zero GX. I would give that the story mode is pretty difficult. And I'll actually provide some strategies for that as well, because I know there's a major roadblock you're running into in the story mode. But for now, let's just do Sauce, because this is a harder track. We're not going to complete this Grand Prix, just out of principle. So, when the opportunity presents itself, I turn the control stick toward my opponent, and I do a side attack. There's a chapter where you'll have to learn how to do side attacks in order to beat it. Eventually you get to a point where you can anticipate how and when your machine will control grip and kind of control that as well. So we're pretty low on energy. We're holding our boost. We're not spamming it. Because there is a dash plate that we'll actually use to extend our boost in second gear. And you notice, we're not using snaking or any broken advanced tech. We're literally playing the game mostly as intended, except we are emptying. Just because that's the easiest. Oh well, we got bumped there, too low on health. That is unfortunate. But we'll go into story mode real quick. So, the first mission, I should not have to explain to you how to beat this mission. Most people can do this mission on their first try. It's very easy. This is the one that's extremely difficult. And I'll show you why. So, Red Canyon, we'll go up against Samurai Goro. I skipped the cutscene because maybe you don't want to get spoiled on it. But this is the major roadblock, in my opinion, of the Grand Prix. The rest of it is not that hard. It's simply going up against Goro that is ridiculously... Like, there's a trick to it. It's easy, but it's also not easy. So, as the race starts, he goes off ahead, you think, oh, I'm gonna boost. I'm gonna get ahead of him. Maybe you start attacking him, but I'm gonna spam my boost like I do in the Grand Prix. Okay, now we're empty on energy. Now what? Okay, we're just gonna stay ahead, maybe follow a good like racing line, and win. Avoid all the boulders. Shouldn't be hard. Well, let's do that. It's going good so far. And there we go, he passes us. Now what? We don't have any boost. Well, here's the thing. Goro has rubber banding. And he doesn't know when you're out of energy. So the game does not adjust to whether or not you're out of energy. Now, there is a silver lining. And this is something I did not figure out as a kid. He's not going to boost that far ahead of you when you are out of health. Sorry, he's not going to boost that far ahead of you as long as you're behind him. So, literally the trick to beating this mission is not boosting, which flies in the face of what the Grand Prix teaches you to do, which is to spam that boost button. So this is the one odd mission of the game where you need to really change your approach and not do it the way you're supposed to in an actual race. Don't treat this like an actual race. He's not going to pull off ahead of you with his extreme speed. He's going to keep this relative distance ahead of you at all times, and then at the end, you pass him with your boost. So as you can see here, he's not spamming his boost. He's just driving at normal speed because he's ahead of us and he knows he doesn't have to boost. He only boosts once we pass it here, but that's about it. We actually do pass him, trying to catch up to him without boosting in the first place. But yeah, this was my major roadblock as a kid. I could not figure this out. I thought I had to boost intermittently between the boulders, and I would always lose because of that. But yeah, this is where you boost, right at the end here. He can't keep up with you boosting, so you just win. That's how you beat Chapter 2. I would say Chapter 2 is free on very hard difficulty. The only thing that changes is the boulders. The boulder patterns get more difficult, but other than that, just deal with the boulders and you win. The enemy comes pretty hard. You have to dodge and weave between them, but other than that, if you have a good sense of the shoulder buttons, you should definitely be doing hard and very hard this chapter before anything else, honestly. Just knock it out. You'll get a AX machine out of it. If you don't mind me spoiling the rest of the story, because I know you probably just want to get through it real quick. Chapter 3, easy. Just use the jump plates to cut corners. Chapter 4, RNG dependent. Want to just practice getting good at attacks and side attacking, and you'll eventually get good at this. This is one chapter where I think you should snake. You should learn what snaking is and try to use that to quickly get through this chapter. Chapter 5, don't snake here. You cannot do that. It's technically possible, but it actually makes it harder. Just follow a good straight line and memorize the way the gates close. Chapter 6, this is free. Just stay in the middle of the road when your trucks are there and they'll go off to the side for you. When there are the little cars, be on the outside because they follow a racing line. So just avoid cars, avoid collisions, boost over the dirt, do some quick turns, you'll be fine. Chapter 7. This is genuinely hard, so I'll do it on normal real quick. Because this is one track, you need to, like, spamming boost does not work here. You actually need to follow sort of a pattern if you want to really make the most of your boosts. And you want to really treat it as, like, a very difficult race. This is a mission that I think was overtuned. They gave way too much rubber banding to the AI here, and for that reason it's just too difficult. You're able to kill Black Hole pretty early there if you know the good timing. It's very hard though. I'm going to try to beat this without Advanced Tech beyond MT. So we are pulling up next to Bloodhawk pretty early. That's actually good. So we actually killed both the AI right there on lap 1. That makes it very smooth. We are just on normal difficulty though. Very hard is much more rubber banded than this. So just be aware of that. However, if you just want Dark Schneider, then you're going to be good. Okay, I boosted too early. Normally I would not boost there actually. This is the first place I boost, because I go off the ramp here with the extra speed, and then I'm going to hold boost until I round this corner, and on this straightaway is when I'm going to do the most of my boosting, because there's that dash plate there that extends it. And you can see we just had a ton of speed through that section. We're able to carry that into the next lap. Unfortunately, we did not get the full energy recharge. We did not get... Yeah, that was pretty suboptimal, not gonna lie. I'm a bit upset about how that went, but the rest of the AI do not have as strong as a rubber band as Black Shadow or Bloodhawk. Struck from that one MT, dodge the lava here because we're empty on health. Bam, boost, sprint down here. Boom, done. Now, very hard is obviously harder. I'm going to try to demonstrate that because I actually know there are people who want to beat everything. And I think this is the one mission that the very hard is just extremely difficult. So I'm going to try to give like a concrete way to beat it without snaking. Snake, if you snake, it's free. Because at that point, you have a ton of boost level speed on lap 1 and you break the game. So we're going to do 70%. This is a percentage that I think gives you reliable performance on this chapter because you accelerate pretty well, but you also, you go just that little bit faster. We are going to try to side attack Black Hole again like we did last time. But, okay, yeah, that was actually pretty bad. Let me try again. Because that little spin attack was not good for us. So let's see. Yeah, we're not going to try too hard to kill him. Because he already passed us, but we are just going to play the rest of this chapter the best we can. Quick turning is like a necessity on this chapter, especially if you want to follow the hairpin turns. Take side attacks when you can, it thins the pack of the racers. Past the first lap, it's kind of a little hard. The reason I have the Meat City music muted is because I was testing sound effects. Still need to document all of those. Get this hairpin. Boost down here. Hopefully we get ahead. Alright, there we go. Not too hard. Not too easy. You can kind of spin there to try and catch them. Again, you want to hold your boost to the places where it's advantageous to use it. To extend your speed. That's the idea here. You want to extend your speed the most you can. Whoa! But that was shift boost right there. I do not suggest you intentionally try to do that because it's too difficult. Right. For lap 4, those two AI are going to be extremely aggressive. They're going to spin the second you come in contact with them. So try not to get too close during this lap. He's just spinning constantly, even though he's spinning down a ton. So you kind of need to actually counter spin. And for some reason, he dealt damage to me in the middle of my spin. So maybe it's a lap where you don't want to boost too much. I don't know. This is a very difficult chapter if you didn't notice. The physics of the AI when you kill them is different in story mode. So sometimes you will get bumped if you do side attack. That's the unfortunate part of this chapter. So honestly, if you really don't feel like doing it this way, just snake. You have my blessing. Because this chapter is honestly just awfully tuned. This is the one part of the game that they really should have playtested more. Here. Great if we can actually. Oh. Let's kill him. catch up to him? Nah, too late. And that's pretty bad. They're gonna spin it into us now. Right, so... yeah, they're just absurdly aggressive right now. They have no chill whatsoever for us. Lap 5 will be easier because you're not going to do that much more anymore. Okay, so this is the final lap. I think this is where the rubber banding eases back and you become more passable. This is really an endurance race, except you also need to keep up your pace. So we're going to dive off here with the boost, like before. And then we're going to use the same boost strategy we've used on previous laps. Boost into that dash point. Boost here. Sprint, final sprint, come on. I think I'm going to lose. Oh! Wow, just barely won. So yeah, you can probably refine what I did. It comes down to some amount of RNG, unfortunately. You can beat this chapter using that strategy. I suggest doing this instead. Because honestly, it's just faster and less painful to do it the less legit way. So, we go to 0% to max acceleration, and this gives us a better calculation on what's called the drift accelerat. And now we can go back and forth with the quick turning technique, except now we're gaining an insane amount of speed instead of just losing less of it. I do not suggest snaking on this narrow section, it's too dangerous. Just handle it like... and once you have the security walls again, that's when you snake. We're going to snake up here. Try to snake between the lava. Don't worry about too much about health. In fact, you don't really need to worry about boosting. I would suggest only boosting when it's really safe to do so. Rely on the snaking for your speed at this point because it's free boost. It's boost without losing health, essentially. And then you're just going to stay ahead for the entire race. You can boost down here if you like. Don't lose all your health. You still want to survive wall hits and lava. Like, don't go nuts with the snaking. You want to keep enough control that you're not at risk. This is all about minimizing risk and having insane speed, really. Because by having insane speed in lap 1 without boosting, you're minimizing the risk of needing to boost, therefore circumventing the game's central mechanic. And then we can just boost this. You notice I let off from the snaking because there are mines in that section. I let off on it here because of the ice that can cause us to fall off the side. Kind of let off here because it's narrow here. It's lap 4, so that's the reason why they're extremely rubber banded and spinning into us like it's no one's business. But you can see how much they struggle to keep up because of the snaking. Because you're essentially boosting for free. Now it's lap 5. They're going to stop spinning so much, and you can just snake to our heart's content. It's like you almost killed them there. They still have a chance to spin if I'm not mistaken. So just don't go too nuts. Because like you saw last time, they don't go that far ahead. Right. Boost like crazy here, snake like crazy here. Interesting. But you can see how much easier overall it was. It's a matter of RNG to some extent and luck. Chapter 8. This one is interesting. This is a lot like Chapter 2 because the CPU, it plays a mind game with you of accelerating super fast. But here's the secret. Deathborn does not boost, period. So this is more of a one-on-one endurance race. You literally just want to focus on clean driving and boosting when it's safe to do so. What do I mean by that? You'll notice, like, it's really hard to take a tight turn while you're boosting. So I'm gonna kind of follow. Okay, we're already past Deathborn on lap 1. Because I'm doing something called the mind skip. Now, this is why I'm doing it on lap 1, because every bind we blow up on lap 1, we can get that health back, because there's actually a generous amount of health we go. So don't worry too much about losing health. It is actually better to clean the track up with mines, even if you're bumping in the walls and stuff. Because you're going to get that health back, and you're going to be able to boost in the next lap with more confidence. So there we go. We cleaned up a ton of mines. You can boost here. This is the safe place to do it. This is a very gentle turn. Follow this straight line. Okay, now let go. So we have this hairpin here that we need to worry about. Boost again. Try not to die when you go over that hill. Sometimes you'll get a shift boost. I suggest not boosting up the hill at all if you're worried about that. Try to weave between this lava, get the health. Turn here. Quick turn here. Okay, don't boost here, because this is an extremely hard quick hairpin, but you can boost here just fine. Break speed. You'll notice how far ahead we are of him, even on very hard difficulty. And again, he does not boost, he just has a very high max speed. So you do need to maintain some amount of pace, but just boost when it's safe. Don't get in your own head. Don't hit the walls. You'll be fine. If you drive like I am driving here, you have a good grasp of quick turn, you're using your shoulder buttons reactively, you'll be fine. That's the most important thing I want you to realize. You need to use the shoulder buttons. You also need to steer. Blueback not be a car that loses traction like other cars do. You can be very aggressive with the stick, but like, yeah, just have a good reaction, use the shoulder buttons, boost often, when it's safe. That's the thing about this track. When it's safe to do so, it's the state of the game here. They really should put a track like this in the Grand Prix. A lot of the Grand Prix tracks are very easy by comparison to this one. So you see they're purposely not boosting in order to go around the hairpin, because otherwise we don't have enough turning radius. That one's wider, so you can really boost through it. It's not a big deal. You can do one boost here. We're already in the last lap, and Deathborn is insanely behind us, because again, he doesn't boost. All he does is he accelerates really down the line. It's deceptively easy. Like, I remember seeing people joking about how easy it was in the speedrun, and me going, what are you talking about? It's not easy. But then I actually got good at driving the course. I'm like, okay, actually, yeah, it's very easy. Okay, the final chapter. This one, the difficulty is completely in your head with this track. This track is all about knowing how to not fall off. Anything else is superfluous. It's only about not falling off. It's not actually about racing. So, the staff ghost is purposefully not following the tightest line possible. In fact, we accelerate past it. Even though it has a head start, we accelerate past it. And just by following a nice racing line, hey, we're 200 milliseconds ahead. That's not hard at all. So the difficult part is knowing what to do there, because obviously you need to use the shoulder buttons. There are corners here that demand you use the shoulder buttons to not fall off. See, if we do it like that, we fall off. So another approach is to use 0% setting for better turn radius, or like I was doing earlier, quick turn. So to reiterate, you want to hold both the shoulder buttons for 1 frame, then hold the inner shoulder button. What do I mean by the inner shoulder button? Well, if I'm taking a right turn, I'm going to hold the right shoulder button, but that's after holding both shoulder buttons for 1 frame. Holding both shoulder buttons does this. It causes you to break grip. So I hope you kind of understand what I mean. Like, you want to break grip for 1 frame, and then hold the inner shoulder button. In Japanese, instead of calling it quick turn, they call it inner grip for this reason. This is a safe part of the track to boost, because you can just follow the corners without quick turning. I like to hold the rest of my boost for the ramp there, because then you can dive off of it. And you can see, like, we're not doing spectacularly, we're just boosting in places where it's really safe to do so, and getting ahead for it. So yeah, GX is really just about developing good instincts and then relying on them. And then also having track memorization to a degree. I really think it's a disservice to say this is the Dark Souls of racing games though. And maybe that is accurate. Maybe I'm overplaying the difficulty of Dark Souls, but between Dark Souls and this, I would rather be playing this. And I do have a bias, because I do already have a lock on the game, I know how to do every course. But, you can see I'm not using any insane tech, I'm not shift boosting, I'm not MTSing, and I still win quite handily. That's very hard difficulty, and we were 4 seconds ahead, just on, you know, safe boosting. Not even difficult boosting. Like, we boosted in the safest parts of the track and we still won. So that's kind of the end of my dissertation of sorts of why this isn't the hardest game. The one track that is very hard is this one. And to deal with this one, what I really recommend you do is you do well in all of these courses first. And then you purposefully only drive to survive on this one. But it's just, this one is bad. This is a bad track. So don't bother trying to win this one. Win that track on Master. Beat these 4 courses on first. And then just coast through this one. Maybe focus on killing the AI, because that reduces their points a lot. But yeah, it's not that hard. It's got difficulty spikes, but they're overcome in surprisingly easy ways. You just need to know a few secrets to beat GX, and you're good to go. And on this, and on this note, this is the worst handling machine in the game, and I'm going to show you how you can not lose too much grip with it. Again, you have a calibrated control stick, and we're going to be gentle when returning. Well, first I'll demonstrate what happens, obviously. Yeah. Very unstable grip, very bad straight, very prone to hitting the walls. To deal with this turn, I'm going to kind of do a quick turn. This is one machine that's not suited for this track, because it can't MTS, but it also has tear up and rip. So to deal with that, you just need to kind of like claw through that corner. But we just did a normal turn there. Gentle with the stick, but then we did do a full turn afterwards. Here's a trick. You can hold the shoulder button, then turn. Although that's not a quick turn, that's just a regular straight turn at that point. Right, you're gonna start boosting. So with the boosting, it lowers the turning radius, so we're gonna be able to do that. We hit the wall there, unfortunately. But it's not too bad. We're still picking up a good pace, more or less. If this were a Grand Prix, I would suspect we'd be in 7th place. Maybe boost here. But yeah, like, biggest advice, don't get it in your head that you can't beat this game. It's not that hard. You do just need to respect it and work on improving, but that doesn't mean it suddenly demands insane skill. Like that's a bad example because that machine genuinely, it has E-grip, it's the worst handling machine in the game, very low speed too. I do not recommend playing as Night Thunder unless you really want to get good at this character and see his interviews. You don't need to do everything in this game. You don't need to play as every card in this game to unlock 100%. But yeah, for now, I think that will be sufficient. I hope everyone who gets into F-Zero GX this year really enjoys it, and hopefully the player influx says to Nintendo, hey, make a new game already. This game is not very good. And what I mean by that, there's atrocious balance. What is this guy's booster? ADB. What's his boost strength? It's actually C, believe it or not. He has the same level booster as Captain Falcon with a longer duration either. How is that C grade when Blue Falcon is C grade? Alright, how is that D grade when Blue Falcon is C grade? The developers did not stat the machines correctly at all. That is one major complaint with GX. So Miyamoto-san, if you're watching this is not a perfect game. This game could be so vastly improved simply by giving the machines actually good and accurate stats. And I'm not going to get into that right now, but a lot of people have complained that the track design is not the best in the series. There are good tracks, but then there are also tracks that are a slog to go through in this game. Not for being too difficult, but for not being interesting enough. So that's something to work on. Example, this track is the only other Firefield track in the game, and as you can see, it's just a bunch of up and down with gentle turns. That's not compelling track design, at least in my opinion. But yeah, without going off on that tangent any further, I hope people enjoy the game, and I hope this video can help people see that this game is not as hard as it's made out to be. You just have to play on its terms and be willing to learn it. And the learning curve is not that steep as long as you adapt to the turning style. That's it on F-Zero TV. That's it, everyone. We'll see you at the next Grand Prix.